Welcome to the last game of the first round of the Spoils of Vaul August tournament. Today we have Thentox Tau, very iconic combination, playing against LostOne Chaos Space Marines, and we already have a restart on our hands by Chaos. Which makes sense, for Chaos you want a certain kind of starts to be able to settle at least while we're playing with 120 settlement. Right, we're back. Let's quickly take a look and see if Tau will restart themselves. They might, but they have another outpost in the back, and if they scout a bit further, they will find a couple of actually 3 or outposts. That is a bus boosted city onto our outposts. But looks like Thentox will be settling one of those 2 outposts. Maybe this one, because of all the bonuses. It is actually a very nice style to settle. And let's quickly check. Chaos has an ore outpost itself. Again, ore outposts are just so important. 3 skull altars that he can see already captured an influence outpost. Yeah, I assume he will settle an ore outpost himself. And it looks like Thentox will be settling fermentation pool instead of Jakara trader encampment. Probably wants to keep this outpost settleable, but of course might reconsider once he finds this paradise. With this city, like city here or here, you get such a big ore bonus, you might just keep making ore in this city and spam vehicle buildings everywhere else. It's just so good. Opens with a Wook. And what makes sense against Chaos for? Or is it because Chaos has again to settle early, which means we have a rather slow start, but can ramp up towards the mid game. Although we have seen Shaima Storm play like resource building into production, still getting quite a number of rhinos to defend himself, but in that game Exorcist also didn't attack too early. And this is actually the land of skull altars. 5 skull altars. And since they also give energy now, this can be very useful if we're going to play Noctilid Crowns. Noctilid Crowns are of course still a very strong option. They support all early game units quite well. Going into barrack after book. Vehicle building is already tagged. Can't see the promised land yet. And meanwhile, Chaos is building a barrack. Again, with this amount of influence and energy, we're definitely looking at Noctilid Crowns, and it looks like he wants to make Berserkers with them. Berserkers, of course, work nicely against Tau infantry. We have a lot of attacks, but of course actually they are fearless, so we might not even get pinned by drones. But still, Rhinos are of course the gods, especially if you play something like Book to get those Havoc launchers earlier. And we can see that players are very far apart. Both of them settling towards the corner. And that cultist is definitely going to settle an Orfield here. Yeah, getting in position, will be able to settle next turn. What is the turn 11? Settle. And I mean, if he disabled that Gin Lab, or rather, if he didn't build that Gin Lab, he could have settled even earlier, which is, for 120, is an insane timing. In the latest community PvP mod version, it got reverted to 80 cost, so Chaos is back to settling on turn 8, maybe even 7, with such luck. And that means Chaos is going to have much more resources again. Because that later settlement, it's not only the city cost itself, but you also get the city later, so you get much less resources from it. Alright, looks like we're again looking at Breacher Fire Warriors, this time by Thentox. They can definitely work against Berserkers with their Overwatch, but again, against Chaos it is kinda scary making them, because if Chaos plays Rhinos, those have Overwatch disabling aura, and it of course counters Breacher Fire Warriors completely. Similar to how it works against Necrons, when Flayed Ones just dunk on your Fire Warrior, Breacher Fire Warriors, basically ignoring their main mechanic. Again, some scary moves. We do have extra moral from the level up, so should not get captured if a Slayer runs in one of our Fire Warriors. And if we take a look around the map, very cute to have two artifacts on this side, one in the middle, and it leaves another two on this side. Pretty even this time, and of course that is due to players spawning almost symmetrically on opposing corners. We get some Umbras in this corner and some Umbras in this, so quite cute. Can get eaten by someone if the game gets a little bit longer. But yeah, Tau finds the god tier Orfield placement. Could actually been better if we had some rocks here as well, but with two Orfields it was a bit of an overkill. Alright, with the book, that is a pretty common opening. Book, two production buildings, and the drone. We have seen the same from Fuziarak, I believe. And Tau finally buys his first unit, probably because he just could not find another one earlier. And luckily those cultists were from a different pack, although that different pack itself is not that nice for cultists together. You might need some extra drones. This drone is going to get captured, of course. Aside from this initial blockage in the form of cliff, river, firewit and some cover, some forests, if you go through here, it is pretty much open field, so easy to clear. Oh, that is a little bit scary place, but he has drones forward. The way neutrals work, we sadly will do some stupid stuff, ganking all that gun drone and probably being too far away to attack. One of them finds his way to a Fire Warrior squad. Does almost half squad HP damage. A bit of a foreshadowing of the matchup. But yeah, cultists are quite strong against this early game Tau infantry. They're extremely cheap, hard to kill, unless you have crisis suits, and can do decent damage to your guys. Might even transform into a Demon Prince. As we remember, Shoima Storm actually got a couple of Demon Princes in his game against Black Tyranids. A bit of an Demon Prince overkill. Yeah, tanking with Piranha. Double taps those cultists with leveled up Fire Warriors. And meanwhile, Chaos is getting his Chaos Lord, as well as Infernal Fabricator. Made a renderer on this tile. And is going full barracks in this one. Had the second Space Marine, but now going full into Berserkers. We'll have a fair bit of guys out by the time the Lord comes. And we can see he's making Infernal Fabricator. We'll of course get at least some Rhinos. Especially useful with that Overwatch disabling aura. And just very strong against early game Tau infantry. But again, you can see Chaos gets a little bit less army early. Less starting units and opens up with the resource building always. I wonder if we will ever see something like Chaos opening up with Cult of Chaos. Maybe once meta develops a little bit more. But yeah, second city is on an ore field. Indeed settled away from this outpost just to be able to settle on this rock. And the second builder drone might be going somewhere here, because that is just an extremely strong economic place. Buy the dog. Let's see, is it? Yeah, has a lot of influence to spare. That means he can buy resources as well. is now extremely versatile. And yeah, he already has 2 artifacts. Aiming at the third. And the Chaos Lord is out. I suspect we'll be buying all the survivability items. Use a Warpsmith, that is a tier 3 hero. No Master of Possession. A lot of ore in the bank, because we do have that initial slave mines. And the Force Barrack. No Cult of Chaos for cultists and Noctilid crowns. Buys armor as it is the most valuable. Hopefully won't be running into Fire Warriors or Breacher Fire Warriors Overwatch. That relic is cut off by a cliff. A little, or maybe not even a little, bit hard to capture for Chaos, because there is a cliff and forest as well. But once you capture it, you can camp your Chaos Space Marine here. In a quite protected tile. Second Infernal Fabricator. That is an interesting queue. I kinda wish we had more fabricators, because rhinos are extremely strong. But Horned Berserkers, while they still 40 cost, can work as well. And he actually settles his third on the Skull Altar. I of course do not approve of such decisions when there is such a powerful place available. And Thentox with 3 artifacts lead. Can play it safe and wait for Chaos to engage. Although again, you can't really know what Chaos plays, and if he plays a lot of Rhinos, he is going to trample your Fire Warrior army It would be interesting to see something like a bit of barracks for Havocs and then fabricators for Rhinos, as well as maybe a Chaos Lord to punch through piranhas and stuff. I think we do not see that early range 3 infantry enough in our games, but again it takes some development for people to start valuing units like this. In casual games, where oftentimes are just like, not performing too well because they require a very balanced situation on board, and when it is too one-sided we tend to die too easily without doing much. Well, our first gun drone, looking at Chaos Army. If we check the upkeep, around 20 for Chaos, a bit less for Tau, but of course drones and that annoying moral nuke can help, maybe not against berserkers. And more importantly, again, as a Tau, you are currently in the position to just wait for Chaos to come out to you. You don't really want to fight over an open field with berserkers. But it is also harder to bait someone into Fire Breacher Fire Warriors Overwatch without cover. Yeah, you can see they do like 5.8 damage with normal attack, but on Overwatch they get that extra damage and armor penetration. I think we're able to take like 3 models from berserkers out of cover. That is very nasty to run into. And we will get our first Rhino in 3 turns. If we opened here with a vehicle building, like our vehicle building, we could have had quite a bit of those rhinos around already, but chose to get out some space marines and of course berserkers. Again, in terms of damage, berserkers are extremely strong. Definitely doing more than rhinos, but we're of course more susceptible to Overwatch and just easier to kill in general. has around 40 turns to get out some army before he actually loses. So yeah, I think we can definitely wait for at least 20 more turns, get some of those rhinos out, maybe even max out on berserkers. Sadly no havoc. Again, I personally feel like those range free units can be very useful. Devilfish with 4 fire warriors in it, and we're already going into Hammerhead, 2 Hammerheads in the queue, 1 arsenal in first 2 cities. So yeah, in 9 turns we're getting 2 Hammerheads. That means we can actually just hand back for those 9 turns, maybe keep watch over artifacts, but in general do not need to risk your stuff for them. We already have quite an advantage. Meanwhile, Chaos is taking his sweet time grinding down neutrals in this corner. Very annoying and slaver movement. You can see that neutral units are kinda cheating, knowing the map, because they are running around this Vaul army to get to the style, instead of walking straight into your berserker here. And Tau is driving around his devilfish here. We do have Dirgecaster, the aura that disables Overwatch. Yeah, you can see we are doing 4.7. That is a buffed one. But even without, yeah, even without the buff, it is quite literally double the damage of a Rhino. But being able to disable Overwatch is very strong against range 1 Overwatch units. Although of course our Rhinos will get hard countered by Hammerheads once those are out. And it can be quite troublesome to actually deal with them. As Chaos, again, you might wanna get some Havocs. For that sweet range free damage. But yeah, that is a lot of army far away from your main. You can see it takes like 4 turns to get back, at least 5 or even 6 for some units. And we might wanna move towards Weapon Slaver to get a little bit more experience. So yeah, a little bit rough. Might go out and buy a scroll or an icon on that Warpsmith. Tao actually lost an artifact to neutrals here, didn't keep anything to hold it, would have used a dog or a Vespid, were very cheap on upkeep, and dog especially can just run away if there are threats, unless it is a berserker one tapping it. It was a buffed one again. I guess with full hit points wouldn't instantly kill. Looks like that guy already has crystalline body, Lord has crystalline body as well, and another berserker has crystalline body. Very cute, gets experience from that enslaver, level 3 lord of course levels up Dark Glory. And looks like we won't be doing any Noctilid crowns. Queuing up all the food, so he won't lose any to the negative income. Well, he will lose 7, but not more. And you can see the problem with going into 4 barracks now. You have 4 barracks, but once you produce all those berserkers, you can't actually use them. And you will be so deep into negative food that it will take you a while to get the ability to produce from them again. Which is why maybe you don't even want that captive pens, you can just start making fabricators and swap Gen Lab to fabricators as you do. But again, that is a pretty high level idea. Maybe you don't even want fabricators, but some resource building to support fabricators in your next city. But just an example of why you might not want to build population building. While not going into disabling Crane as well. It definitely feels like this Tau army can try and push the city, but it is blocked up by the domination device. And there are a bunch of stuff around, especially Warpsmith can repair it. And we're getting some new units out, so it should still be possible to defend against this. Looks like we also attacked Crisis Battlesuits, and we are still on positive food as Tau, which is very unique. Probably means he got a bunch of food from outposts, although I can't quite see it. Well, he does get a bit, which I will say around 15 from outposts. It's quite nice. So yeah, we'll be doing some Crisis Battlesuits. They work well against cultists if Chaos goes for them. What can also be helpful against Space Marine infantry as well. Scouts around with a drone. Yeah, when there is no cover, you can get quite a bit of mileage out of such scouting. It looks like Tau will be getting the relic in this corner, splitting the map top versus bottom. Both armies are like on opposing corners away from their mains. Very funny, especially when you have your strongest units coming out like in the other corner. Not the case for Chaos. He is still making like tier 1, tier 2 units. Level 4 Lord meanwhile. But again, the positioning is not too hot. For units that are so slow, you only have one Rhino to move them around. So if a fight breaks out, it is going to take a while for you to get back. He can actually see Tau capturing this outpost, so maybe we'll turn around at least with some of his units. Didn't buy the scroll or an icon, by the way. Might be looking to buy Zod Head Jorkin for his Chaos Lord, and then I guess the concealed weapon system as well. Will require Warpsmith to spend the turn on this shop, but he can actually get a Rhino there and then put a Warpsmith in. Yeah, Tau. Checking out that main. Can't really know if this is a main or not. We can see both Chaos cities are 6/6. And it is not a main actually, it is a second city. But yeah, with some units clearing neutrals, hammerheads coming out from our corner. We'll have 3 of them in 5 turns, which is great, but pretty far away. Still we'll get to front lines much faster than Chaos guys. Yeah, tries to get a heal on those guys, does not get it, didn't place the Lord nearby to get the aura, but of course might want to move his Lord around. towards his base, or at least the middle of the map. This like cover can actually be very nice to fight Tau, like hiding right behind it to stop hammerheads from shooting you up, although we might still get some shots from those tiles. Yeah, that is an annoying situation, because if you try to go out and get that trader encampment back, your unit might get jumped by Tau for free. I think since we can see all those tiles, you might try to set rally point there, so you can drive on it and bend back. But of course, if opponent places a unit near the outpost, then you will get into the zone of control. So such a move would be fairly risky. And our Vespid is getting ganked by Psych Nuance. We do have some Fire Warriors to finish the Enslaver. We'll be able to run away. Might even hide a Vespid in the Devilfish. Yeah, now he might actually lose them. Depends on neutrals deciding to attack. Might even lose both Vespids. Okay, Chaos is slowly moving towards the middle. I think if we check the upkeep, it's going to be a little bit brutal. Alright, 33 upkeep for Chaos. Only 23 for Tau. And of course he will get an 8 upkeep spike in 4 turns. Plus 3 more in 5. But all that upkeep will have to get to the middle first. And Chaos will be maxing out on his Berserkers meanwhile. And again, with 4 Gin Labs that we can sustain, that Captive Pens might be a bit ambitious. Especially considering that extra population is going to lower our food income as well. And that also means, since we're in the negative income, losing units hurts much more. The logic being, usually you at least get like upkeep refund, so you start producing a bit more resources if you lose something. But when you are in the negative like this, even that little bit of extra help doesn't happen. You just lose the unit and all the value. Yeah, not settling this as wild would also help protecting the artifact a bit, but You know, I'm not a fan of settling for artifacts. I'm all for settling for economy though. Well, resources are still good for Tau. Doesn't even need, or Razor doesn't even go into negative food income yet. Meaning he can afford to grow his army for a while, but chaos threat is definitely looming. Once he gets all his berserkers out, those 4 Gin Labs will begin stalling, which means he would want to start taking enemy units instead of producing his own to keep it to keep unit balance fair, or raise, or at least or raise in his favor. And you can't really know if your opponent is like out of resources. You can check like this on his units, but against a better player, as you can see, if he just queues all his food, this doesn't really work. You have to check it at the start of the turn, at the start of the opponent's turn. But even when, it might still not work if he has too low of an income. It will only work if he has so much income he can still produce like for ages. So yeah, hard to tell if the opponent is maxed out or not. Maybe if you try and do some math. But for the player that maxed out like this, with a highly negative income factor from upkeep, you end up in a situation where you want to fight but do not want to lose units. Feeding a Rhino here. All his army is out of position, so he can't really punish that. Meanwhile, or I guess not meanwhile, but rather, Tau is playing a bit cautiously here, using an extra drone while being no threat. Uses a second one to scout on this side. See the CSM out. Alright, we'll be able to capture that artifact with this drone. I think you want to capture artifact. Although might trigger Poxwalkers to get it back. Some annoying wire with tiles for our berserkers again. a reason to get at least one Cult of Chaos for those cultists. Rhinos are also quite cheap, only 30 cost. So it's fairly decent to scout with them. But again, as Tau, you might wanna wait for Hammerheads. Might be taking Skyrace soon, or Seeker missiles for his other vehicles. But with artifact advantage and in general, at this point you don't really want to assault Chaos, because by the turn he just had enough time to max out his army, as we can see. So it's like his prime time to fight. Yeah, takes quite some time to think. Did bot Zod had Jorkin and concealed weapon system for his lord. Makes perfect sense. Tau grabs a force relic, forcing the issue. Disabled Overwatch is a little bit of a mistake. But he might enable it still. Loads up in his Devilfish and will be running right. And now I don't like the Crude Hound in this position. Might lose it. Overwatch is disabled. Vespids are regenerating on those outposts. Yeah, if we for some reason fight Chaos in this cover blob, it will be quite nasty for us. The drone is scouting quite a bit of tiles. While being at half hit points. LostOne takes some time to think about his turn. Yeah, you see, without the Overwatch bonus, it doesn't take much damage. Takes a lot of damage from the Hammerhead main gun. Might wanna stay in cover against that. And you can see that Hammerhead. But in general, it looks like a very small army. There are actually 4 extra units hidden in the Devilfish, but you can't really attack too efficiently with them from a Devilfish. Right, scouts with gun drones. Drops more gun drones to scout. Can see the CSM squad. Gets overwatched. Always annoying to lose a gun drone squad to Overwatch when you just summon it. Might sound like a silly complaint, but it actually matters a lot. Shoots with breachers, kills the Trainer as it is the main threat to breachers, but now that breacher is not overwatching, which can be rough. We might wanna place breachers here for overwatch. Alright, leaving a unit here basically to death. Trading Breacher Fire Warrior for Rhine. Chaos definitely happy to trade for Rhines because he can produce them. He can't get back the Berserkers he is losing. So he definitely do not want to lose those, unless it means he is winning. Yeah, but dog is getting caught, although can't quite finish it. Might just run away. But yeah, the problem with breachers is that you really don't want to attack with them, you just want to keep them on Overwatch to deter enemy range 1 assaults, but Rhinos hard counter that. Level 5 on Chaos Lord, meaning he will get his level 3 Dark Glory. You don't really need Ichor Blood against Tau. They have some melee units, but nobody ever makes them, and they're not that strong to justify Ichor Blood. Gets Warp Frenzy, or was it already there? He definitely got bloated, but of course had full hit points. But Hammerhead actually already shot. 2 more Hammerheads are just coming out. And he didn't have enough energy to queue a second Hammerhead, which is the downside of producing 2 units at the same turn. Need to manage the economy better for it. Uses a Chaos Lord to kill a drone here. Not afraid of Overwatch. And while he's in cover, might not even be afraid of a Hammerhead shot. Got Dark Glory level 3. There is a certain allure into getting Worthy Offering level 3 instead, so you have a higher chance of getting bloated on each kill. But of course, Tau can't really fight, especially with this cover around. Drives away. And without cover, you can just keep walking back as long as Chaos is out of range. Can't quite catch you with just Berserkers. Can actually catch you with Rhinos, which is once again more reason to make those. Yeah, you can't pin them since they're fearless, so there is at least that. But at a certain point, Chaos can make all his infantry fearless. Which we rarely see because Chaos mostly produce Berserkers that are fearless by default. And actually, or pre-marked units, like those elite god-specific units, all come all pre-marked and fearless. Yeah, but really got taken back by Poxwalkers, no surprises here. Might be hard for Chaos to get those things, and that is actually yet another reason to get Master of Possession or a Cult of Chaos with Chaos Spawn tag. Chaos Spawns have move through cover, I believe, and move 5, where you can run around the map capturing tiles and relics. Very helpful. You can do this with Rhinos as well, but move for tanks or move for vehicles, so have trouble moving through rough terrains. Chaos Lord tanking on an outpost. You can see it is quite hard to kill him. And yeah, one annoying downside of playing with high outposts is that we oftentimes get outposts in range of 3 of each other, so you can outpost hop. Well, you might, well, I think it's annoying. You might actually enjoy it because it allows you to like play tactically, going from cover to cover. But city damage reduction works on everything, so it is very strong. With like 3 tiles between, you need movement 4, so in that case it is favors certain factions. It gets a kill here. You can see Chaos Lord is your go-to anti-vehicle unit, but he needs that little bit extra of ranged support to actually finish them off. In this case, maybe a couple of Havocs. And I mean, you're making so many Berserkers already, you're in the negative income. Might as well swap like 3 of them to Havocs. They will get produced faster since they are more production efficient. So you'll max out your army earlier. And they are also quite useful in such scenarios. You already have a big front line. Having a couple of units able to shoot from range 3 can be extremely helpful. Yeah, let's see what Town does here. He has a couple of hammerheads coming from this side. A bunch of crisis suits producing. I think the right call is, of course, to just fall back to get better engagement, but looks like he will be trying to kill some berserkers. He can at least see that there is no food. At least to some extent, so it is tempting to kill berserkers, of course, since there is a decent chance Chaos can't actually rebuild them, and as spectators we know that he indeed cannot rebuild them. Abuses moral drop ability to get a kill with gun drones. Of course, you are out of movement range of a bigger part of Chaos Army. 3 Berserkers in a Rhino is a bit ambitious because you might not be able to unload one of them on your opponent. But yeah, swinging to the side means you can actually get cut off. Does a little bit of damage on Overwatch, but immediately healed by getting bloated. Has warp frenzy as well. I think we're looking at killing that gun drone and maybe charging in with our Chaos Lord. Can actually charge in on that Hammerhead as well, but that will leave him in a threat range of 3 Hammerheads, not something you wanna do. You definitely want to push on those guys. And again, by swinging to the side, risking getting cut off from our other units. And losing an 80 cost tank is never good. Losing 80 cost tank is just never a good thing. Gets a kill, probably thanks to that warp frenzy. Yeah, it is scary to move into this Overwatch. Not with the Lord though, still takes 1.9 damage. Does not get bloated. Has crystalline body and warp frenzy. Does not have any mark. Might get him Mark of Norgal, for example. Or maybe Zinch. But that of course requires taking a mark just for your heroes. That is a great Rhina. Overwatch is off. Yeah, drives in. Maybe not with Rhina. Get a kill. Yeah, kills a Fire Warrior. You can see those breachers. Once again, not doing anything. They do kinda stop Chaos from advancing, but he also just didn't have units to advance with on this location. The dog is running away. And now, what are we looking at? Can we get a hero here? 2.3. Looks like he won't be even trying to do that. Decides to focus down Rhinos. Again, makes sense in terms of getting value out of your Fire Warriors. Tagged Seeker missiles instead of Skyray. And from Exorcist games in some of the tournaments it feels like Skyray is a bit of a trap with our settings. They definitely tend to fail him the most when it matters. But yes, this now looks like we're going to lose all the stuff. Which is not great. Alright, more Rhinos coming out can actually place it in a way that will disable Overwatch on those Fire Warriors. Can disable Overwatch on both of them, and now you can see why this is not a great option against Chaos. So, their unique ability, stronger Overwatch, just doesn't work. Can shoot this guy and finish it off with a Berserker. Yeah, that is like very sad to see. But of course, quite predictable when you think about it. Using an Overwatch disabling unit against faction that has Overwatch bonuses just makes sense. So relying on extra powerful Overwatch can be hard. decided not to, or I decided to spare that guy. He will still, he will die in the end. Runs into an Overwatch. Here you can see, even on red moral with 33% accuracy reduction, he still took like half the squad with crystalline body and extra armor. Now imagine he had full moral and we didn't have crystalline body and extra armor, he would just almost die in one shot. So the ability is very strong, but again, Chaos just has tools to fight it, so you can't really rely on it. Well, using that to buff Hammerhead gives him like 1 accuracy when he already has quite a bit. Can't finish off that Berserker, and he might even get healed by finishing off that Breach of Fire Warrior. But yeah, as we have again predicted, losing units on this side especially hurts to lose a Hammerhead, and it all started with him trying to shoot a Berserker on a flank. I would say gotta protect your units better. Gets marker drones, for some reason doesn't get shield drones despite using breachers. Fujarak didn't get shield drones as well. So yeah, their first unique ability is Better Overwatch, but they also has a second gimmick, getting 33% damage reduction instead of 17 from shield drones. Alright, uses the squad from the back instead of trying to heal those. I might still try finishing something else with them, because this is actually like double boon Berserker squad, you don't want to lose it. Level 6 Lord might, well, against Tau vehicles he can actually try and get his ultimate, although he is already doing more than half HP of damage, so it makes sense to get Worthy Offering level 3 for a better chance of getting bloated. Doesn't really need more experience, moves him away, gets Warpsmith in position to get experience, and Warpsmith would really like that level 6 for extra plus 12 O and energy, and once he gets it, it will actually, once again, yeah, he tries to get that kill but doesn't quite get it. Finishes it off with the Mecha Tendrils. And actually runs his Horn Berserker into this Overwatch, gets a kill with the last model, but sadly no bloated proc. Can actually lose that squad to a Vespid now. It is tempting to trade Vespid for buffed up Horn Berserker. There is also a Piranha stack here. Might use it instead to get the kills with the Seeker Missile. On this side, the apparently running into yet another breach or overwatch. No, that is not something I condone. But he might be trying to bait some units to linger around. Would be very nice to get Mark of Slaanesh at this point for extra movement on your Chaos Lord. Would be able to reach those guys in one turn then. And you can see he one taps them. So if we are somehow getting that Mark of Slaanesh next turn, would be very nice. And there are not enough Tau units around now to get the Lord, so that is somewhat of a free kill. He might even get bloated. We also have a Rhino in position to unload some Berserkers onto our enemies. So yeah, that is so far a very nice fight for Chaos. He still has 37 upkeep, 31 of that is food against 30 upkeep of Tau. After Tau lost like 10 here. And you can see producing very expensive units bloats your upkeep very fast. That is 8 upkeep, that is another 6, and that is 4 more, so that's like almost 20 in just 5 units. And it is of course very painful to see it die like this in one hit, for example. So you got to be very cautious with the crisis battle suits. No Mark of Slaanesh, instead we just tagged Melta Bombs. So now that Rhino is extremely scary for our Hammerheads. If he manages to get close, it is at least a Hammerhead down. And again, 80 cost tanks, not something you wanna lose ever. And that is a range free unit, like there is very little justification to losing it. You can play extremely safe with it. Although of course it is quite tempting to use that second gun against a lot of enemies. Doubles damage against Berserkers, for example. But even against something like Rhino, it is like 40% extra damage. But of course, forces you to take much more risk with your Hammerhead. And Chaos will definitely... Well, he can actually already see that there is an artifact here. That Berserker survives. Very annoying to get attacked by an Umbra here. Will be trying to defend the artifact with his Piranha. But again, with Umbras around, they might just follow it around. Especially if Chaos ruffles some feathers here. Right. Get this relic back with the dog this time, so those Poxwalkers won't take it back. But of course, this relic will get captured eventually, and you can be sure that Chaos will get this one. Might even be able to get it next turn if he plays his moves right, although that will mean it will take a bit more time to get this. And yeah, Now we're looking at an open field. Not a place you want to fight in. And much more easier to get your free Berserker Rhino sniped when you can't hide it in cover. Chaos Lord leading the charge, hiding in this forest. No more breachers. Actually trying to produce one. Bentosin lab is still on. Can't really swap it for anything. That is his main city where he was building 2 builder drones, and you can see it leaves it very behind on buildings. Maybe one of the reasons Exorcist builds his second builder drone in an expansion. But of course we can see that expansion is behind on buildings as well. Right, Hammer has helping Crude Hounds finish off that Poxwalker, and now if we scout a little bit we might actually grab a Siren Caster of Chaos here. One more reason to get at least one Cult of Chaos and maybe camp a Chaos Cultist here. Trading one upkeep for safety of the Siren Caster. Of course, like, it is still pretty easy to capture, but at the very least you can't do it with a move 6 Hound. Chaos is actually going into some renderers. That will put him at positive food income, and he also got quite a bit of income from outposts he took from Tau, it looks like. Yeah, triggers a lot of Overwatch attacks here, and sadly can't get bloated. No kill available. So we're losing at least a Berserker here. Finally a good Overwatch for Tau. If you look at it like that, it would actually make more sense to first move onto this tile to reduce the amount of Overwatch you can take. Alright, setting up our Lord. I think we might even reposition our Mega Rhino Again, with this patch of wireweed, would really want to see a cultist or two to clear it up. Yeah, using 2 hammerhead shots and a seeker missile to finish a single berserker model on an outpost. But a kill is a kill, very safe one at that. I think we are actually in a little bit of a trouble here. That wireweed really helps us out. And Chaos indeed got that relic, look at him go. Will take a while to get this one though. Still, getting a relic is very nice. Still not enough to win on points, but if we grab like one more, it'll be in our advantage. Let's check the upkeep quickly. Yeah, it's still like a little bit under 40 for Chaos. And 31 for Tau. If he didn't lose that group of units, he would have had like 40 himself. Finally getting more upkeep than Chaos, and that would have been extremely strong. Now, with such an advantage, you might actually get a chance to use those breachers for an actual Overwatch. And by getting more hammerheads out. Right, swinging his army on the other flank, trying to use that movement advantage, but of course shooting berserkers with railguns, at least with hammerhead railguns, is a bit of an overkill. Broadsides railguns are a bit smaller, so less overkill. But this one has 12 damage and 9 armor penetration. Yeah, jogging around that wireweed patch Let's see. I think my Russian sleeping out. I think we might have danced her out a bit too much here. Can actually unload a couple of melter bombs on that hammerhead and make a tendril as well. Although on an outpost, thanks to that damage reduction, should not be enough to kill. Then can't see the dog, unloads in the opposite direction. Can actually either sneakily cap the relic or bite someone in the butt. Biting in the butt doesn't look like it's worth it. Yeah, having 0 armor penetration against 9 armor units, not great. You can see just a couple armor points less and it is a huge damage increase from a little under 3 to 4.5. Almost double, not quite. But definitely a big difference. This berserker is hiding from the piranha. Running gun drones into it might actually be very unlucky. If it's on an open tile, he will finish it off next turn and might even heal from it. It's that double wound veteran from before. Yeah, that's a lot of berserkers running around the map. They definitely don't have the movement for that and might be prime targets to be picked off. This one, I guess, is protecting the relic here. But yeah, hard to position in a way that will keep your stuff safe while also allowing you to attack. Keeps loaded Rhino in the middle to be able to move to either flank if the attack happens. But you can see there is at least appear to be a chance for Tau to get something on either side while the rest of the army is spread out. So like pick off something on a flank. Looks like we will be going for those berserkers. Yeah, we kinda need something else. Alright, gets another hammerhead. If he positioned Piranha here, should have been able to kill with a hammerhead, since he gets that +1 ranged accuracy from fire team. But right now it takes us 3 units to kill one, and it is some very expensive units at that. Let's see if Chaos will be able to strike back. By the way, he can't see the Chaos Lord, but we can, and that is a kill on the Crisis Suit. Yeah, that won't actually save him. So yeah, if Chaos decides to, he can actually go all in and kill a Crisis Suit. Might even be able to get Chaos Lord on a shop, and if he has the influence he might be able to buy at least recovery packages, but maybe something even more nastier. Overwatch Ignore can be quite strong actually, and the dog is trying to stop the Rhino from retreating. But yeah, let's see what Chaos does. I think there is definitely a very strong turn possible. I think we will be aiming to get our Chaos Lord on this tile. It is definitely possible. And getting him on the shop, one tapping a Crisis Battlesuit, as well as buying some powerful items. I think we're looking at Overwatch Ignore, but he might also get an axe to swipe away fireworks. Yeah, axe looks like an overkill, to be honest. Maybe something else to get more damage on hammerheads, but again, the most important will be Overwatch Ignore, because that means he can charge enemy units. Although even Overwatch Ignore might not be that great if you want to take Overwatches with him and then heal up with Bloated. That is a riskier strategy, or rather a riskier tactic, but can be much more valuable when it works out. But again, to play it safe, you get Overwatch Ignore and just like, if you see something hanging in a bad position, you just go for it. He actually doesn't have enough damage. It shows 15 and 3, but actually does 17.9. Some rounding shenanigans. And looks like he will be playing it safe, only getting a dog for his trouble, not wanting to risk his army getting flamed by Crisis Battlesuits, it seems. Well, of course it is easier to backseat from our place of a spectator, but I think our Chaos Lord is stacked enough to play a little less reserved with it. And look, we're back at positive food. If we lose a couple of berserkers next turn, we can actually queue another one right back. So as long as we get good trades, I think it is alright to play a little bit riskier. But if Tau keeps pushing with his units like this... Alright, now that Crisis Battlesuit is out of Lord range, because he could actually see him and play around it. Previously he was just in range to get one tapped by Chaos Lord. So again, maybe playing a little bit too timid here. For some reason uses marker drones, maybe hoping to get some use out of them next turn. Has 4 hammerheads, 2 more in the queue. Might be able to get some units on this side. Using 7 upkeep to smoke out one berserker is a bit annoying. Yeah, sadly, with all those forests and no cultist to maybe clear one of them, can't use the Rhino to its full effect. And yeah, so far some clean kills for Tau, only trading like a dog for what? I think a couple berserkers at this point, and the Rhino, very efficient. And yeah, not killing too much chaos units means we can't queue a berserker just yet. 41 upkeep for Tau now. Meanwhile, still 30 for Chaos. Clearly can't keep up since he was unable to use his production for a bit. And he is still producing cheap units as opposed to high cost units of Tau. Once you have enough hammerheads, you can stop being afraid of a lord, since you're just able to kill him as soon as he gets out of cover, which is what you want to prevent as chaos as much as you can. So you really do not want to stretch that game out. Yeah, sadly kills the Vespid here instead of something valuable. Repositions his berserker to assist in this fight. But yeah, 3 berserkers should be able to fight back here. He can kill at most only one of them and will lose a battlesuit for this trouble. Has a gun drone actually, so that can help him out. Will still be a rough fight. And on this side we can just avoid this army. It is limited by movement, so really not a big problem. Alright, can get extra 1 accuracy. Finish it with a Seeker Missile. And we can even get another Seeker Missile and a drone shot. I will nuke Moral now, I believe. At least try to. Should get him yellow. And that should be enough. Oh, wait a second. He already nuked Moral on the Rhino, my bad. So instead keeps Overwatch. Well, by itself, wait, do not kill a model at the moment. And we can't kill a suit. Alright, shoots. Yeah, we can't kill a suit on an outpost. In fact, we will only kill a model, so might be a good trade for Tau. Yeah, it's very annoying to see Lord so underutilized. Because really the main threat for you as a chaos here is getting picked apart like this, like unit by unit from far away without you killing anything back. And you really just want your lord to dig in at least in one unit, because he deals obscene damage, which is, by the way, the result of interesting rule translation. Would have been even easier for Tao to pick out units if he actually attacked Skyrise first and just used marker drones. Alright, due to moral drop, actually kills a second model, very nice. So killing those drones definitely helped. Moves his berserkers in a very risky position to block off a retreat, and I believe will be rewarded for it, because Tao can't actually save those crisis suits. One turn before drones, although yeah, I'm not sure those drones will help against that berserker squad. Vespits flying in. Yeah, we still take 2 attacks to kill, so you can see for what they are worth, we're extremely efficient. And they even do decent damage, because they have high armor penetration, and they even get Martonium accelerator stack. That is... wow, that is unpleasant. Right, looks like that berserker is safe. Or is it? It looks like we will get killed by seeker missiles. Shoots with those guys. Seeker missile and the drone shot. No, that might actually be a chance for Chaos to proc a boon. Finally finds something to pin. And yeah, now having 3 berserkers in arena is a bit problematic. And the most annoying part is that There is actually more units of Tau now than of Chaos, and they are much more expensive, at least some of them, or is it like half of them, meaning they're just stronger. Yeah, Chaos is on 30 upkeeps. He was slowly losing upkeep this whole time. Does not get bloated despite worthy offering. But Lord sadly can't get into range any big Tau units. Doesn't get bloated again. And finally gets his Chaos Lord bloated, restoring 2.3 hit points. Oh right, he moves out of +1 accuracy range. But yeah, now you can see the problem. Like once you get enough hammerheads, you can actually just kill that guy in a turn. He also keeps splitting his army, giving Tau a chance to pick off more units. Because right now, like that Berserker, I guess he hopes to get something out of his Lord Trainer. Does Tau have the drones to scout? Yes, there is at least a single drone to scout, and he is actually heavily incentivized to place it on an outpost for protection. And if he finds the Trainer, which is again, there is a very real chance he does. We'll be going with a kill on this side first. Yeah, you can see he's just picking Chaos units apart. But at the very least our Lord Trainer is safe, did not get scouted. It would be funny if he places a drone, drives it here and realizes he could have killed a Lord Trainer. But even like this, picking off a couple of units basically for free is very strong. Although we might be finally in a threat range here. Can Volk his Chaos Lord in there. Maybe kill that guy first. But in general I think we have lost enough units to be out of this game, sadly. Can actually drop his Rhino here first, unload his Berserkers and then do everything else. We'll be losing a model on Berserkers from those battle suits, but it is still better than to waste his turn entirely. And yeah, you can see a couple of units out of the fight. This one is still quite poorly positioned, even if it can do something. Units are getting picked off. Alright, he drives all the way here, that works. he can actually... Yeah, but it's actually a nice turn. He can even tank the Overwatch. Maybe not. Yeah, might need that extra shot. Alright, that extra shot is on cooldown, so won't be able to do that. Yeah, we might finally be able to oh, it also requires him walking and unloading and an Overwatch. Yeah, that is so annoying, but what can you do? Yeah, we might finally get ourselves a Hammerhead, but there are more coming and we really lost so many units on the way here. Like, very annoying. Yeah, tries to bloat his hero. Actually bloats again. Doesn't lose a model. Let's see if 2 melter bombs is enough. I think he can count. Worst case he will. Alright. Yeah, we'll have to throw all 3. Gets 2 boons from that kill. And actually very nice to get them on the guy that is on the outpost. There is lesser chance of him dying, but sadly a lot of stuff is in the attack range of Tau units. Crisis battle suits can use bonding knife ritual if they even need to, because like their flamers do not get affected by moral accuracy reduction, and we can just start with this one and then those guys. Alright, will be melter bombing here as well. Was not enough damage to kill a piranha, only 15 damage. Need a bit more to get with piranha. Still 40 upkeep for Tau. 29 for Chaos. Yeah, slowly losing this, sadly. There is a little bit of hope in the form of Chaos Lord killing everything. And I mean, he can still do some stuff. But for Crisis suits will be stacking damage on our berserkers. There are also some hammerheads. In fact, even more hammerheads coming out. For an 80 cost unit, we are not that good in head-to-head fighting. But we have that movement advantage. I think we want to restore morale first, but yeah, he wants to kill that Warpsmith, so annoying. Yeah, sadly Warpsmith is not a Chaos Lord. Oh, the reason it does so much damage, it actually gets 2 extra armor penetration at range 1 because it is Melta, and that means they completely ignore Warpsmith armor, and that Fusion Blaster actually packs a lot of damage for the cost. It's basically a little anti-vehicle weapon. So yeah, gets that Warpsmith. might be trading some piranhas. We still have 2 crisis suits able to attack. Yeah, sadly. Oh, and he even tries to play it safe, alright. It kinda feels like he could have just wiped 3 models of those 2 squads and left Chaos with little damage on the table. Instead we have 1 damaged squad and 2 full, but in the grand scheme of things this is pretty much over. We do not have enough stuff on Chaos side, and Tau is getting into broadside battlesuit production, which will be the end for Chaos anyway. I mean, it is turn 63, Tau opened up with a book, and we're still on Horn Berserkers, sadly. In fact, nothing else stacked at all. Sheesh. Yeah, that is not great. I understand we do not have the research, although it's 28 actually. Oh, that's from Gen Labs and the map. But yeah, as strong as Berserkers are, we even had a decent chance to do some nice damage. But of course, as time progresses, as we get better units and as we get more of them, it gets harder to win with just Berserkers. And Thentox definitely did a good job, like picking off units from flank to the other, using that movement over this open terrain. Again, I feel like Chaos just played a little bit too timidly with his army, especially with his Chaos Lord. Got to take some risks. There was definitely a couple of chances to slam into Tau army. And instead we took a little bit too much time driving around our Rhino with 3 Berserkers without actually unloading them, like looking for that perfect opportunity instead of trying to force it ourselves. Well, we do get bloated on our Berserkers, like still not over, as you can see. Killed a couple of crisis suits, a piranha, but sadly Tau can just huddle in his cities, has the time to do so, and once he gets broadsides, I don't think we can do anything with them. Actually, Chaos will get this relic as well, and Tau is playing it safe, not taking the relic, instead killing off as many Berserkers as he can. At this point, this is very all in for Chaos, this fight. He can't really fall back with Chaos Lord, he will just get hunted down by Hammerheads. And his new units can't get into the fight while Tau units can. He can only really rely on his lord, like slapping enough Tau units to win this. And since he can't one-tap Hammerheads, like at best we maybe will kill some crisis suits. but that's about it. The Hammerheads will survive, hunt down our Chaos Lord. Broadsides will be out. Don't really see a way out here for Chaos. Well, Tau definitely lost some upkeep here, from 40 to 32, 33. But looking at Chaos, it is 20 now. At least like, yeah, almost 10 of it, 9 upkeep is stuck on this side, meaning that in this fight we can actually just see that this is Lord and 3 Berserkers that are left here. He even moved to attack with Hammerhead, but I don't think we will be able to kill it. So yeah, a bit sad for Chaos. Let's see if Kolobok cursed him once again. Yeah, indeed, Kolobok just cursed someone again. And not just, he did it a while ago. And indeed it meant that it will be the Tau winning. Sadly, even if we killed that Hammerhead or killed 2 Crisis Suits, this won't actually win us the game. Dying with a 400 O bank. No other vehicles stacked. I think at this point I would have at least stacked a Hellbrute. Although that guy is quite slow. We definitely want Mauler Fiends. Those have 4 movement and they are walkers. And they do very nice damage to vehicles. So a bit puzzled why we didn't get those. In fact, they are so good, it might be worth getting a book for them, since as you can see we have 400 O in the bank. But yeah, that appears to be a Chaos Lord kill. But of course, the game was lost for quite some turns at this point. Again, I think maybe playing a little bit too timid, especially after we have killed a decent chunk of enemy army here. That was almost 10 upkeep, 2 big units, especially the Hammerhead. We had to use this opportunity to push, get some good kills in, some value out of our Chaos Lord. LostOne surrenders, taps out, understandably. And again, we really needed to use our advantage at that timing when we maxed out, and we get a very good chance by taking down units here, but sadly didn't push it. And given time, Tau of course got an army of very powerful, fast and furious units, and even used them very nicely to pick off our berserkers around the map. Yeah, I'm joking about breachers. Of course, breachers are definitely not the unit to use against chaos. Even looking at military here, it feels a bit wrong that chaos had such an advantage. Probably overvaluing heroes a bit. But towards the end of the game, Tau had an advantage for quite a while and used it to gain even more. Very nice game by Thentox, and congratulations to him for advancing to the second round, where he will be playing against Denegar Orcs. And that's it for today, everyone. Have a great evening and a good night. See you next time.